Let me first introduce myself. My name's Tom Dennis. We're really excited that you all are here. This is a great kickoff to the start of your aviation journey. How's it going so far? I like the cheers. They're good. You know, I'd like to see a different adjective than good, but you know, I'll take the cheers. So, anyway. We are super excited to have you here. Not just excited, super excited. And we are even more excited because right now what we're going to do is we are going to welcome to the stage the president and the CEO of GoJet Airlines. And he's going to come share some words of wisdom, a little bit of a kickoff presentation to you. Him and I are going to sit down and have a little chat. We're also going to put up a QR code, so if you have questions that you want to ask him, we can put them through the Slido. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome CEO and President of GoJet Airlines, Rick Leach, up to the stage.
Thank you, Tom. Wow, full house. I must be giving something away today. My gosh. You learn in the airline business, you know where all the best happy hours are, where there's free food, you learn all that stuff. So you guys are figuring out right. But the biggest decision, the best decision you've made is to start this journey for your aviation career. So it's so exciting for us at GoJet to be here celebrating this day because this is where it all starts. So strap in for the ride because it's going to be an amazing one. It's an amazing career ahead of you, an amazing lifestyle ahead of you, and so we are all very excited to welcome you into the aviation family of people that makes this world a more productive place. So you're part of it. You're our future in this room. So me, I'm sort of yesterday's news. But it's exciting to see so many of you. Such a live and vibrant program you guys have here at this school. So congratulations to all the administration of the school for your investment in such an amazing program. But we're here just to chat, get to know each other in a really sort of laid back way. But hope you enjoyed the aircraft. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. Here, Tom.
All right, so we got our fireplace on. It's August. It is starting to feel like fall. So I mean, it's kind of a cool thing. So what I really love is the relationships and networking and things like that. I think, you know, we've had a relationship that goes back several years. I think it all might have started around a karaoke event, but that's always kind of great. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. But again, everybody, if you have questions and things like that you'd like to ask, we do have the Slido up, so you know we'll try to get to them as we can. This is going to be somewhat informal. We got some questions and things like that, but we'll see the questions that are popping up here and things like that. But to kick it off, we kind of want to start off with a little bit of background information on Rick Leach and where he's at. So Rick, you've had an incredible journey in aviation, over 40 years in this industry. And when you look at some of the ups and downs of the industry, that in itself is a milestone. It's an amazing feat. Can you share what first drew you to the industry?
Well, mine wasn't as organized as yours. I just needed a job. That's really what drew me. But the problem with this industry, or it's really the opportunity, I guess I should say, with this industry, is once you get in it and it gets into your blood, you're sort of hooked. And you sort of can't get out of it. I thought, okay, I needed a job, you know, and I had this opportunity, got hired, and I thought, okay, I don't know what this is going to be like, but let's see where it goes. And I'll tell you, the journey itself is what became the story, because it was very unconventional just getting in. I went to pick up an application and they hired me. So, but I started at the bottom and worked my way all the way up. So the journey has been an exciting one filled with challenges and opportunities and things I can't even, as I go back right now and I try to remember, gosh, Rick, if somebody would have told you when they hired you, you would have certified like 8 different aircraft types, done a couple 121 certificates, some acquisitions, some 135 conversions, created a whole new aircraft, designed it, one of the only airlines and CEOs that's ever done that in my team, brought the 550 to life. Along with United Airlines. So these are things that I would have been in a fetal position in the corner going, oh my gosh, how do you do all that stuff? But it's been a very rewarding and eye-opening experience. But the journey became, because I was open to it, and then I let the industry lead me. When there are opportunities that I thought I could be more challenged, I raised my hand. I got involved. I tried to, and I always tell people when I talk about leadership stuff, is fight above your weight. And that's what I did. I was bidding for jobs that I was no more qualified for. But I wanted the company to know that I was working at the time, to know I wanted to be more, I was capable of doing more, and I wanted to be sort of given the opportunity to do more. And that's sort of how it all sort of projected on and where I ended up where I am today.
And I think the key word there is seizing opportunity and not letting perceived closed doors stop you from going anywhere. You all, a little bit later on this afternoon, are going to have an opportunity to do that here. And it sounds a little bit of a cliche, it sounds like kind of a juvenile, but don't let a closed door stop you. Investigate, look at different areas, explore. What I hear Rick saying is that he explored opportunities and didn't let a locked door or a door stop him. He knocked on the door to see what was behind it, and usually behind that door is opportunities. But you only make those opportunities by looking for them. And I think the other key takeaway I'm hearing from you is be an active participant in what it is that you're doing. So you've helped, you alluded to this a little bit too, you've helped guide multiple airlines through major transitions. What were some of the most challenging and rewarding moments during those times?
Well, in the airline business, every day is an opportunity and every day is a challenge because it's constantly changing. No one day is like the last. It really isn't. And so that's one of the exciting things about our industry. But as far as in my role as a CEO, I mean, I have been conditioned through my almost 45 years in the business to grow airlines and to find opportunities for them, and to be entrepreneurial in our approach, and to create opportunities, to take things that we think to be uncontrollable and make them controllable, change reality. And so the hardest thing, the hardest opportunity for me, I would say, or the hardest challenge I've ever had was just a few years ago during COVID. I mean, I was the CEO of 3 airlines all at the same time, and that just means I'm 3 times crazier than any other airline CEO in the business. But I actually was the active CEO of 3 different airlines all at the same time. And they were like children. I mean, each one had their different personalities. They never behaved at the same time. What worked to calm one down didn't work to calm another one down. So those were opportunities and challenges all at the same time. But the hardest time came was right when COVID hit. Right before that, we had some big opportunities that we had negotiated for all 3 of our carriers that was going to set us up for the next, our next sort of decade or 2 of existence and our next journey in this industry. Yet, because we were supposed to sign that at the very end of March, and for those of you who probably remember what happened around the 3rd week of March, when COVID hit and the entire country got shut down, the entire world got shut down, and our industry was obviously a big part of that. So in that opportunity that was supposed to be executed went stale. And so 2 of those carriers, within a couple of weeks, I had to shut down. And that was tough. That was probably the toughest thing I ever did, because airlines, like any company, are made up of people's lives. And so we had such amazing opportunities. We've had almost a 50-year existence in the industry, our airline company, and to have to make that decision to allow GoJet, which was the one that had a lot of growth in it, ready to go with the 550, survive, it was a tough decision. Probably the hardest one I ever made. But opportunities that have come throughout the time was starting GoJet. I founded GoJet along with the team back 20 years ago this year. It's our 20th anniversary for GoJet Airlines. So that's exciting. And so to start something new that didn't exist before from a blank sheet of paper, that's pretty cool, because you only get to do those things. Most airline CEOs don't get to do that. Most airline people don't get to start an airline. And a lot of our team that started it is a part of that history. Just like most people don't design and create their own product like we did with the 550. So those are both some very exciting opportunities that we seized, and as a team, we executed, and the market's embracing them very well.
When you get that opportunity, it's amazing. And I think back to where you all are sitting right now. we started this. And actually, it was through the guidance of Dr. Ray Thompson came to me, I think it was probably 14 years ago, and said, hey Tom, you should do this. And I'm just kind of dumb enough to say, okay. And we did it. And it's now evolved into this. But again, it's starting something from the ground up and then building upon it. You never know where it's going to go. And where Fall Welcome was when we started it 14 years ago to where it is today is entirely different. They're entirely different animals. So I do have one question that came out. We should have hit this introduce you. People want to, where are you from? And besides Western Michigan University, what's your favorite college team?
Well, I'm a good Catholic, so I do like Notre Dame. But I do, we follow Mizzou because I pay a lot of money for my kids to go there, so I have to like cheer on that team from time to time. So I would say those are my two teams that we watch from the college side. And of course, grew up in St. Charles, Missouri, a little sleepy town right outside of St. Louis. So people go, where's St. Charles? And they always say St. Louis, but it's really St. Charles. We don't claim each other. You know, we have our own pride of ownership, but that's where I'm from.
That's awesome. All right. So this kind of ties into another question, looking at how have you seen the regional airline industry evolve over the past few decades?
Well, it's evolved with what you see sort of out there, the regional jet. Back when I started in the business, we were flying 19-seat turboprops. It's pretty much what the regional carrier was. And the regional carrier was, by definition, a true regional carrier. You flew within a very specific and isolated region because your mileage was maybe about 400 miles, 500 sort of on the outside as we got some larger turboprops. So it was truly a regional airline where you didn't fly in crossover hubs and go and poach out those different sort of links within other regions. You operated within your own region, centralized around a single hub, usually. With the onset of the jet age for regional flying, this started with the CRJ-200 back in the day. That QnA was the first one to launch that, and Bombardier created that product. It really opened up a completely different business model for us to not only transition over from region to region, but transition from hub to hub, and it just expanded, our range anywhere from 1,000 miles to just under 2,000 miles. So it's been an amazing transformation. When I started with this carrier, it was called Resort Air, which became the company that GoJet is part of. And when I started that, we were boarding about 1,000 passengers a month. And at our largest, we were boarding about 8 million passengers a year. So that's a big transformation. And a lot of that is because of the growth of not just the turboprops, which got larger, and we flew everything with the turboprop and wings, like we used to say, but also the regional jet just allowed us to carry a lot more people a lot farther and do a lot more with the industry. So that's how it's transformed. We've become more such an essential part, not that we weren't before, but the health of the regional allows the carrier, the mainline carriers, to get those bigger airplanes to make sure their load factor is enough to justify the existence of those larger airplanes and those larger haul flights. So what we do as an extension of the major airlines brand is truly an essential piece of their growth strategy and the way they serve the public today.
So my takeaway from that is you always keep your eyes and ears open. You never become complacent in aviation because it is an ever-evolving, changing world. And looking at the years that you spent, where originally, again, starting in that small turboprop all the way up to now the CRJ 550, and you can't sit there and say, well, this is the way it is now, that's the way it's going to be in 10 years, because it's not. I've been doing this job for 16 years, and I remember when I started back in 2009, and it was an entirely different animal than what it is now. And so my takeaway from what you said is just, again, constantly be learning, constantly have your eyes open, your ears open, to make sure that you are on the cutting edge, on the cusp of the changes that are happening. So related to that is your CRJ 550. This has been called a game changer in the regional market. So what inspired its development? How do you see it shaping the future of regional travel?
Well, I always say that my employees pay me to try to make sure the lights are on and that we have opportunity, okay? And there came a time back 20 years ago, not for this airplane, we GoJet 20 years ago, but for this aircraft, let's see, 2000, where's Mr. Basham at? Are we 6 years, 7 years in with this, Mr. Basham? He ran away, he's not listening to what I'm saying, it's not normal. Anyway, we're about 6, 7 years in with this aircraft. We had a fleet of CRJ 700s, and the CRJ 700 was sort of, I don't want to say falling out of favor, but because of the scope clause limitations, you guys will hear scope clauses talked about a lot in your career because it is a limiting factor both at the major but also with the regional and what we do for the major airlines. But there's only so many spots for what they call a dual class equipment, like a 70-seater or a 76-seater. There's only so many spots they can have. Well, this aircraft, the CRJ 700, was originally designed for 70 seats. You couldn't put more seats on it and have first class and coach. So when these aircraft started coming up on program and it was time to renew those aircraft, they started to not be renewed because these Embraer 175 that can have 76 seats can also have 70 seats. They certified it as 70 seats. So they started filling those 70 seat slots with an aircraft that could be expanded to 76 seats without having to acquire another aircraft when the opportunity came for them to do that. So now I had a bunch of CRJ 700s and no place to fly them. So I thought, what in the world am I going to do? And I thought of our partner United, who has the least amount of dual class equipment slots than Delta and American. And therefore, they were competing with dual class equipment with a standard 50-seat aircraft, all coach. And so I thought, how could we take this aircraft and make it work for them? Now, the kiss of death is to take seats out of an airplane. So we took 20 seats out of this airplane. And it's happened many times throughout the history of aviation where carriers have taken seats out of the airplane thinking, if we give them more leg room, everybody's going to want to fly with us. Well, never worked. They just made less money, and therefore they lost money. What happened here with this aircraft, because that it was sort of falling out of favor, there wasn't an opportunity for it in its 70-seat classification, the ownership on the aircraft dropped about $80,000 to $100,000 per month. And that right there gave us enough cushion to help cover the cost of the additional weight on this aircraft, or additional fuel burn on this aircraft, or additional weight on this aircraft. And then when you go and you put 2/3 of premium revenue opportunities on the aircraft as well, that upsells the opportunity for it to create more revenue. So I knew I had something where on paper the math worked, because in the aviation sector, in any business, but if the math doesn't add up, it's just not going to work. Don't go there. You keep wishing it to be so, but if the math doesn't add up and the economics don't work, just don't do it. Well, we found a way to make the economics on this aircraft work. In essence, we had to basically sell the equivalent of one first-class ticket to make the cost basis of this aircraft be in line with the standard 50-seater. And we obviously do better than that with this aircraft today. And so does United do better with this aircraft today, or they wouldn't have wanted as many as they can get that they have. So we knew there was an opportunity. When I had 25 aircraft that we had in place. We designed the aircraft, and I wrote down all the things that people hate about regional travel, or the complaints or the gripes. One is, have all you flown with CRJ before, when you had to get on the jetway and wait for your bag to come up? Have you done that? Great, have you done that? And if you missed your connection, probably too sometimes, or like you're going, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss our connection. Everything fits on this airplane. So if I solved just that problem, it would have been a home run. But then we made sure that it had comfort, unlike any other regional jet. We wanted to make sure there was sort of surprises like the on-demand beverage and snack center you saw in first class. You don't even see that on a mainline product. And so this aircraft does things that even the mainline aircraft don't do. It's rated the highest rated aircraft in United's fleet most months by the customers, and that's a regional aircraft. So we think we got it right. We tried to give the customer that we learned about through the years of regional travel, sort of what they needed and what they felt they wanted, and we had the opportunity with the additional space, and then of course with the revenue approach approach and the cost approach of the aircraft, we were able to make it work. So he brought it to United. I had 25, but I knew I had it in my pocket, and I thought they were going to throw me out of their office, but because we're going to take 20 seats off the airplane. Anyway, but I had a chief operating officer at United who was about as entrepreneurial mind as I sometimes am, and he said, "Can you get me 50 of these?" And I said, "Well, of course I can." I had no idea where I was going to get the other 25, but that was going to be a problem I'd solve tomorrow. But anyway, it's just become a great product, and it's now flown by another airline as well. People say on my team, "Hey, Rick, don't you hate it that someone else is flying?" I go, "Well, they're copying us in a way, and that means that we did something right." And also another product, Delta Airlines flies it now too. So when a market embraces it across brands, it's something that the market believes that there's value in it and needs. So that's sort of how it came about.
Imitation is the purest form of flattery, so take that all day long. And, all you management people out there, I hope you're hearing what is happening here. If you come to any of my presentations, you've heard this joke before. What makes airplanes fly? Obviously, no one's been to my presentation. Money. I mean, everything you're talking about is economic, finance, money. So it's just not piloting the aircraft; it's the backside. So that's all good stuff. So the next question that we're kind of looking at here also kind of ties into a few that we've got out there. People asking, how do I make myself stand out? Words of advice for those in the aviation industry. So looking at this, for students pursuing degrees in flight, in the management or the maintenance world, what skills or experiences should they prioritize to stand out?
I get asked this question a lot, especially from aspiring pilots. And what I'll say, and it applies to pilots, it applies to aviation management, it applies to technical operations as well, is every hour, everything you're doing, every class, they're not all created equal. And what I mean is, always challenge yourself. Right now, you're building your resume that's going to basically open that door for you to get you that interview. Because once you get that interview, you have to have enough confidence in yourself to say, I'm going to win this, because I have confidence in myself. But as you're going through this journey, don't look for the easy way out. Get involved in as many things as you can. Raise your hand and volunteer for things. Get involved in leadership roles. Try to participate in all the programs that you can at the school, because those things are going to build your resume. They're going to set you apart. Anybody can, they have a basic aptitude to fly or basic aptitude to be able to, they're mechanically inclined to be able to get through a maintenance program to get their A&P license. You can just go through the basic minimum, but you right now don't want to be going to the basic minimum. You want to be setting yourself apart. You just have to, because it is thrilling for me to see so many aspiring aviators in this room, because it wasn't 10 years ago that it was crickets in these schools, because the cost of entry and the barriers to entry were so high, the return on investment was so low in comparison. And that's not the case today. The aviation careers have a very high return on investment, and therefore a lot of people want to get back into it again. So we've seen that shift over the last few years, which is very, very exciting. So the pipeline is healthy, and the pipeline is getting full, which is great, but that means it's going to be highly competitive. So if you just do the bare minimum, then it's going to be a competitive landscape for you. So make sure you do things that's going to set yourself apart. And also make sure you get a chance to, even outside the walls of this university, make sure you do what you can to invest in other aviation-related activities. I mean, I see organizations here like OVAC, I think I saw PAPA here, I don't know if LPA is here, there's NGPA, Women in Aviation, all these great organizations that all of the airlines go to, all the majors as well. Go to those things as much as you can. Find one, because there's great mentorship opportunities also within those programs. Find one that you can align with or associate with, and become part of those programs, become part of their initiative, part of their mission. That's going to also set yourself apart. When you're at these programs, go to these conferences, and when you're there, get to know the carriers. Find the one or two or three regional carriers, especially when you're starting out, that you think has the same personality or the same culture that is sort of you're being drawn to. Get to know those folks. Get to know those recruiters. Let them get to know you. And then as they see you at different times, as they see you at different opportunities throughout the course of the year or years, and when they come to these schools, you say, hey, I remember seeing you at OVAP, or hey, I remember seeing you at LPA, or Women in Aviation. Then they're going to remember you, and therefore they're going to see that you're very motivated to engage, to participate. You're not just trying to do the bare minimum. So every hour is not created equal. If you're going to be a pilot, how many pilots do we have in the room? There's lots of pilots. That's usually the case. How many tech ops folks? Nice. We'll give you our GoJet number for that too, all the pilots. Management, flight manager. All right, taking my job. Anyway, that's exciting. But let me tell you about some of the pilots really quick. There's easy ways of building your time. It really is. But don't build your time just by poking holes in the sky and burning fuel. Make sure you're challenging yourself. You know, programs like this are going to challenge yourself. Becoming a CFI is going to challenge yourself. Flying in airspace that's more controlled is going to challenge yourself. Going and getting a job on the 135 at some point when you finish your training here will help challenge you flying in dual cockpit environments. Every hour is not created equal, and that's the same thing with mechanics and quite frankly in the management side as well. As you're building your career path, just make sure you're on a strong foundation. You know, there's easy ways of getting into the industry, but don't take the easy route because it's going to serve you well. You know, if you sort of reach those stretch goals, participate in things well beyond what you're even asked to do, because that's going to build a really exciting resume. And we're going to need to see as a prospective employer, this person really likes to be involved. They want to make a difference. They want to challenge where they're at, their university, their company to be better because of that, because they're taking a more active role in it overall. So I ask you and I say, look, just don't take the easy route. And also take it seriously. Thinks, I just didn't pass one oral, or I didn't pass one check right. Those things stick with you, okay? So work hard, study, be prepared, get your rest before those big exams, and be ready. Because I'll tell you, getting a seat in that cockpit or getting a seat at the table working on an aircraft like this, or leading an department in an airline, it's not a charitable position. You got to earn those things, right? You got to earn those jobs. So we know the talents in these rooms, and that's why GoJet likes to be here and participate as well. And that's why I have enjoyed the last 3 years traveling with my team around the country, speaking at universities, speaking at conferences, speaking at other aviation schools, because it reminds me as to why I'm still here 45 years later. I mean, you guys motivate me because our future's bright. You know, but we need really strong, professional folks that are going to be leading our industry. And everybody in this room is capable of that, but you got to put in the hard work.
That is fantastic words. And being an active participant, not passive. And I'm going to go slightly off script because I want to point out somebody over here, if he wants to stand up for a second, is this gentleman right here is the epitome of that. This is Nathaniel Charter Harris. Nathaniel, you should come up here. Just come up here for a little bit. So, Nathaniel is a Western Michigan University grad. He got his bachelor's, got his master's. He became the CFI. He went down to Auburn to the CFI, but that's okay, you know, because he went out and he, again, didn't just accept. He wanted to push himself. He wanted a different experience. So he went down to Auburn, CFI down there. But while he did that, while he was a student at Western, he was president of OVAP. He was part of the NGPA. What other? He did Western Student, the Western Student Association, which is our student government. While he was down he would come to Oshkosh. He would go to the NGPA conferences. He would go to the OVAP conferences. While he was down at Auburn, he actually came to an event up in Chicago where GoJet was specifically to talk to Rick and his team,
Well, he did show up. He did. He didn't have to come up to Chicago. He wasn't. We were up there, I think, interviewing our Wisconsin people, right? Yeah, he's like, I don't care. I'm going to show up. And he showed up, got a hold of the team, and then you were at OVAP here just recently. We got an interview at OGAP. We took the opportunity to interview there, right? You interviewed at OGAP. Is that where you got your job offer? Got the class date there, okay. But anyway, because we knew it, and he stood out. And therefore, you know, creeps rises to the top, that old cliche, but it's true. I mean, our team sees, there's such amazing aviators out there, and you want to set yourself apart, and Nathaniel did that, exactly that. And so, and obviously, a lot of the school, right? So that's pretty exciting as well. We have a couple other alums of the school here. Luke and John, our pilots that flew the aircraft in, stand up. Yep. And John, great landing, by the way, today. It was perfect. It was a little heavier than the last airplane you probably landed here, wasn't it? A little bit. Well, the thing is, you never know how you're going to get the opportunity when you're coming to an airline or that opportunity arises. But I mean, when we hear a story, we see people trying to make sure that we knew who they were as hard as Nathaniel was. You know, it's hard not to say there's something special here. We need this person as part of our family. So we're looking forward. He's starting class here about a month and a half or two. October, he knows the date. I'll be having lunch with you soon. So anyway, congratulations to these guys. They started here. So congratulations.
Thanks, guys. I mean, how cool is that? And again, I think those are examples of being active in this process. And it's hard because you're all like freshmen, right? And so there's freshmen, there's transfer students out there. They're like, I got 4 years. I got plenty of time. Nathaniel did not wait for 4 years. That guy showed up at Western and he was, bam, on spot. And that's it. I think the message that you just shared, be active in this process. So if looking at this advice, and as we go in here, what advice would you give to someone just starting out who dreams of taking your job one day, Rick? Who dreams of becoming a CEO in this industry one day? And be thinking about some of the challenges and some of the obstacles that you've had to overcome. You know, what would be the advice that you would give to little Ricky Leach many years ago about becoming a CEO?
That is such a crazy question. Mainly because there isn't any real traditional path except a lot of the things we just said. You know, as you journey through any career, and aviation is clearly that, because aviation is a very complex industry. I would venture to guess that there's very little skill sets that someone could throw at me that I can't somehow tell you how that could apply in the aviation sector. I mean, especially the major airlines. It's a very complex company with things from culinary skills through marketing and music to, you know, there's just so, you wouldn't think that would apply to aviation, but it does. So there's so many skills and talents. But as far as the journey is believe it as this, it's a journey. And you're going to have this many times in your career. First off, I try to get my job away and nobody wants it yet. So I hope someday soon, because I at some point, date and time would like to slow down, but I still want to be involved. But we'll see how that all plays out. But no time soon, anyway. But there's going to be what I call a lot of moments in truth. You're going to have a lot of intersections where you're going to have a choice to take a right or a left, and you're going to have to decide. Well, this isn't really what I thought I was going to be doing, but here's this opportunity, and that sounds interesting. I've always wanted to be a pilot. That's all I want to do. No, it's so be the best pilot you could ever be. I've always wanted to be a mechanic. To be the best mechanic you could ever be. I started out ground services, loading bags, customer service agent. You know, and if that's what I wanted to be, then I was determined to be the best customer service agent. But when a supervisor's job came open, I bid for that supervisor's job. When a city manager's job came open a few months later, like I said, I wasn't qualified for it. I bid for that job, and I got the job. Go figure. But then you rise to the occasion. You know, you have these opportunities that's going to come your way, and you want to get involved because you want more people to know who you are and see the impact you're having. And I think it's sort of along the lines of everything we said, sort of raise your hand, be involved, don't take the easy way out, is if you're going to spend time at a college, spend time in a company, challenge that company to be better because you're there. You know, and if you do that and you're challenging them to be better, that means you're actively participating in the success of that company. And if you're doing that, you're going to be noticed. And when opportunities come up, whether you raise your hand for that opportunity or somebody knows what you're capable of or they know your commitment or your professionalism, they're going to grab you for that job. And let that happen. Find mentors or people that inspire you, that can advocate for you, and they can champion for you within organizations. And that's also what helps you get it going. Nothing happens overnight, right? Nothing happens overnight. But my journey happened very, very quickly in my early 20s when I started in this business. But what I'm saying is, don't look at, we talk about opening the door in some doors that seem locked. Do not let that happen. You find a way to open that door. Find a way to evaluate an opportunity, even if you think maybe it's not for me. Learn more about it. If anything, learn more about it, right? Interview for a job that you might not want, but you want to understand really what makes a person the best candidate for that job. Because it takes all these positions in our industry to make the industry work and to make the industry work well. And so the more you know, information is power. I always like to say that no one's as smart as all of us together. And so learn as much as you can from everybody you work with as you journey through your career in this industry, and it will set you up for success. But don't be afraid of those things, even if they seem daunting or, oh, I'm not qualified for that. By just raising your hand, you're going to be noticed. So make sure you're noticed and see where it leads you. You'll know when you're where you want to be, or when you don't want to take on any more responsibility, or you'll just sort of let it go and keep moving as much as you can, which is what I did.
I just finished watching the Netflix show on quarterbacks. I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan, always have been, and Joe Burrow was featured on it. And in the season, they talk about aiming for perfection. And that kind of hit, you were just talking about, be the best pilot, be the best manager, be the best maintenance position person you be. You aim for perfection. You'll never hit it. But if you're aiming for perfect, you're probably going to come in at amazing or excellence. And there was one scene in there where Joe Burrow, I think they lost the game. Last year was a tough season, not going to lie. And he said, I was damn near perfect. But that's what they aim for, but they know they'll never achieve it. And I think sitting in this room, that's where you want to set that goal. I want to be perfect. You know you're not going to hit it, but if you're aiming for it and you come underneath it as amazing or excellent, that is still a tremendous feat to be able to get to. So there's a question that came up here about pathways and cadet programs and networking and how do I set myself apart. You know, I am looking at these questions, and it goes right into where we are. Rick, you served on the Regional Airline Association board for nearly 3 decades, so you've got a tremendous background when it comes to airlines and things like that. So how has networking and industry involvement shaped your career and their career out there, getting involved in, are these cadet programs, are these pathway programs, whether it's in tech ops, whether it's in management, whether it's in flight, are they something that students should be considering?
Absolutely. You most definitely should do that. You should take a leadership role within the aviation program here at your college and your university. But also there's these, find a carrier that you feel is more like your personality, that has a culture that you can relate to. And then check out their cadet programs. We have a wingman program. We have a program within our maintenance department for what do we call that one? The maintenance one. The apprenticeship program. And when they come in and they have the aptitude. Now me, I would be poorly at that. I do not have a good aptitude when it comes to tools. But they come in and we give them a toolbox and we give them all the tools and they work side by side with people. Be part of anything you can that's going to make you more valuable, but also more noticed and more educated and aware. But as far as the networking, it's sort of like what we've been talking about through a lot of the questions. There's a constant theme you're probably hearing here. Is you want to get out there and get to know other people within the industry. Now, not everybody has, just to show hands here, how many people have someone that's in the aviation industry that's either a friend, like a friend for a while, or a family member especially? Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's really good. But usually that's how people got into the industry before. Now we can dream about being aviators and be in the industry. We don't have to know somebody to get in there. We just have to have the desire and the work ethic to do what we need to do to get there. But once you've got your nose under the tent, try to network as much as you can, like participate in these programs that airlines have, the cadet type programs. And they're very valuable because that will set you apart, especially with that carrier. It will set you apart. Programs like Aviate and some of the other programs that you guys are a part of in this university. You're very fortunate to be part of the Aviate program. That is an excellent program. You're not going to be noticed just by the regionals that participate in Aviate, but also by United Airlines. And that's pretty cool that you sort of have your sort of name is in the pipeline for that already, and you're already sort of setting yourself up for what you hope maybe your future will be, flying with heavier metal at United Airlines. But get involved in all these programs, but go to some of these, again, the OBAPs and the NGPAs and all the things that are out there, Urban Aviation, there's so many of them. But they're great programs, and their whole purpose is to bring people with like minds together, and then the industry is there represented broadly. You're going to get to talk to everybody, you're going to get to know those carriers, you're going to get to know you, and then it's just going to continue to set you up. So networking, finding champions, finding people that you get to know in the business that you can bounce questions off of, find alumni from this program that has made a pathway of success, and there's many of them, and get to know them, become a little pen pal of them and so forth, and ask them questions as you're doing your journey, people that have walked in your shoes, you know. Find those people that will be advocates for you that are going to help, you know, even as a CEO, I mean, we don't know, I always tell my folks at the company, if you think we know everything, you're crazy. We don't know, far from it. Do we know everything? But working together, we can get it done. But if you can tap into folks that are on the same, have been on the same journey that you're on or you're venturing towards, that's going to be an opportunity for you. I still call. I'll have something crazy. I'll call one of my peer CEOs in the business. And there's not many of us out there. There's a lot less airlines than there used to be. We're just a little bit bigger. But, you know, and we're okay bouncing things off one another. Well, what would you do in such a situation? You know, it's okay to say that. And so do that find folks that are on the same path or have been on the same path, and then they become mentors in a way, or they become at least assets to you. You can never have enough of that. But you got to participate. Just going through the motions, just doing the bare minimum, you'll blend into the woodwork. And you don't want to blend in, you want to stand out. So networking is very, very important, because that's where you get to know people more on a personal level, and that's going to bridge future opportunities as well.
Yeah, that cannot be stressed enough. I mean, again, as new freshmen, new transfer students here, you're going to be presented with a lot of opportunities moving forward. Today is just the start of it. Today is the start of your networking journey. We're going to have United will be here, Delta will be here. You know, GoJet will come back and do a GoJet day. We have we'll have tremendous opportunities. It's always a great opportunity for you all to go listen to these folks, start making connections, start breaking down the barriers. There's a question out there, you know, and Rick even already alluded to it, about what does the industry look like, what does the hiring look like for all of you that are going to be graduated in 2029. And I think you mentioned, like in the piloting world, we still see the demand, but it's going to get more competitive. Right now, we're worried about the cliff that is tech ops. And so my joke, when we're usually talking to students, like, all you pilots out there need to go find friends that want to fix airplanes and manage airplanes, because without those folks, they're sitting on the ground not doing anything. But you know, going in and being part of GoJet's cadet programs and pathway programs and investigating all of these things is going to be paramount to the success. That's going to make the journey into getting hired at least a little bit less filled with potholes, if you will, I think. So, you know, looking at, you know, leadership and things like that, and again, in 45 years of it, you haven't done it without being an active leader in this and taking some very strategic approach to these things. what leadership qualities do you believe are essential for success in aviation? So we got some blank slates out there looking at, they're in a perfect opportunity to start developing those qualities that are going to help them to become leaders in this industry. So what do you believe are essential for them to be successful in the industry?
That can be answered so many different ways. The key is to be generally a good leader. You need to make sure that you at least have some basis of respect for the people you're going to lead, because it's hard to be a leader if nobody follows you, right? Or if you can't motivate somebody or inspire somebody to achieve or to follow you down a path, to make what sometimes is perceived impossible possible. So one thing is to make sure that you develop a level of respect for an appreciation for your associates, always the people that you're working with side by side, or the people you may be leading. Because as you move up, most people would think that as you move up in an organization, take on more responsibility, get that title as a manager, get that title as a director, get that title as a vice president or an executive vice president, chief operating officer, C-suite title, or even a president or a CEO, that you have more control. You have less control. As you move up, you actually have less control over the outcomes. It's what you're able to inspire the people that are working with you to achieve with you. So having respect, no matter who you're working with at all times, and building a foundation of mutual respect and appreciation with the people you work with in our industry is really important. One thing I learned a long time ago is I never get too impressed with my title or my role in the industry, because I don't do it myself. I always tell my folks that at any given time within our operational day, within our year as a company, our week or month as a company, I am not the most important person in the company. A lot of people would automatically think, well, it's the trick. That's just not true. It's going to be that pilot that's flying that flight and getting it down on time. It's going to be the mechanic that's figured out that problem, has got that airplane ready to go, and it's going to be making its missions for that day. It's going to be that customer service agent that's solved the problem for the grandmother who's crying, who's not going to get to their granddaughter's wedding because the flight canceled or there was something, and they found a way to get them there in time or get their bags there in time. Those people become the most important person. But one thing is you realize as you move up in leadership is that I always say, be happy with your achievements. Okay, that's okay. You need to be proud of yourself. But don't ever take yourself like, people get a title and they think, because I have this title, I'm all-knowing. I'm omnipotent. I have all the answers. That's just not true. You need all of us. We learn from all of us. I learn from the folks I work with at the company every single day. They inspire me to learn and change and grow in ways that, after 45 years you think there's not much more. But that's not true, because everything changes. What was new yesterday is not new today. There's always going to be new creative opportunities and ways of doing things and breathing life into things. So what I'm saying is, just make sure you realize that as you elevate and you move up in leadership, that you want to take care of the people that you've worked with and are working with, because quite frankly, it's them that elevated you and helped elevate you, because they allowed themselves to be led by you because you inspired them, but it's hopefully because you treated them with respect and that you saw their value and that you're their champion as well, so they will in turn be yours. Okay, so the key is remember that you are part of a big machine, okay? And all of it has to run well. But if you can base it on being mutually respectful of one another, making sure you're listening, making sure that you can always learn, that you don't have all the answers, because the answers change day by day sometimes, that's going to prepare you to be a good leader and will ultimately set you up for success.
In the movie The Shining, Jack Nicholson's character wrote a book, and when they looked at it, it said, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So, moving on from the aviation stuff, we've been talking about aviation for 50 minutes, which is awesome and fantastic, and obviously there's a lot of interest out there. But aviation is also a very personal industry. It's also a industry that runs on people. So we mentioned this earlier. We've heard you're a pretty strong fan of karaoke. I've witnessed you, I've seen you, you make the rest of us look like chumps when we get up there. But what's your go-to song, and has music ever played a role in team bonding or company culture for you?
I kept this a secret for many, many years that I used to sing professionally years ago. So it wasn't karaoke just became the outlet, but hey, in this industry, you're going to work hard. You're going to work harder than you've ever worked, but you also have to play hard. And I'll tell you, building relationships within this industry is truly a key to that. It really is, because you never know. I always say, be careful who you piss off, because you might work for them tomorrow. You don't know. This industry is monstrous, but you see the same names and faces of leadership a lot, that move around. So you always treat everybody with respect. But as far as, obviously, traveling with the team, and through my career, 45 years in the business now almost, building relationships within the industry, you're going to spend a lot of your life doing this career. One thing I like to tell people when they're starting out, I should tell you this now, because if you're not ready for it, you might be in the wrong place. And that is, you're not preparing for a job. You're really preparing for a way of life. And I think, and I don't know if you guys have a program like this, but I think universities should make sure they have some reality checks, because this is a way of life. I mean, you're going to be, especially as an aviator, you're going to be out there working when everybody else is playing a lot of times, So when you get the opportunity to play, especially you find that you spend most of your time doing activities within this industry, you find out that your friend group starts to come from within this industry. We used to joke that if you didn't marry somebody within the industry, that you were considered a mixed marriage back in the day, because all of your time was, so a lot of us have married people that we met within the industry, and that's not uncommon, because it becomes not only our professional outlet, but it becomes our outlet of entertainment and our social outlet as well. And this industry does become, not that you're going to forget all your other friends, that's not true, but what you are, though, is you're going to be investing so much of yourself that this is a way of life, and it'll reward you in ways you can't even imagine. But as far as the singing and the music, it's been really, really great. Obviously, it's become our shtick in a way at GoJet, and we have these karaoke events at all the conferences, and 400 or 500 of our closest friends show up, and it starts out slow, and then it becomes just a big party. And I'll tell you, we work so hard in this industry that it's important to celebrate the industry at the same time. And at events like that, when all of us are coming together from different backgrounds, some aspiring, some well invested in the industry, we're just there having fun together as industry members, like we do with our karaoke events, it's really a good time. But I will tell a little story about how music or singing has given us the edge at GoJet once. Actually, it wasn't GoJet, it was one of the other airlines. So this was years ago, and I was back in the 90s, late 90s or early 2000s, and we were needed to get three Embraer 145s financed. Well, this bank, Mitsui Bank, a Japanese bank, only had three aircraft they were going to finance that year, but we needed that financing, and so did another carrier. They're here, so I'm not going to say their names because they're here. But so anyway, I was out in New York with the head of the Mitsui Bank in the U.S., the head of Mitsui here, and I already got one of the aircraft, so that was good. I had one out of the three, and he had another one up for grabs, and then there was another one they were getting ready to commit to this other airline. And so we went to lunch, and he heard that I sang before, and he goes, well, I'm going to take you to my local karaoke place. The Japanese are way in karaoke, and it's sort of a religion in a way. It's a good time. Anyway, it's not like us how we do it over here. There's a little room, sometimes that's a little weird, but otherwise, but they love it. They love to sing. So he goes, I'm going to take you to my private club. I'm like, okay. So we went, sang a couple songs, and he goes, no, we're going to go to a much bigger place. We got to go to a much bigger place. I thought to myself, okay, this is my opportunity. I go, look, if I can get the place to stand up and cheer at a song, I need not one additional aircraft, but all 3 of your aircraft this year. He goes, well, I've never seen that happen, but okay, we'll see. And I went there, I did a song that I knew was sort of my go-to for that group, and it was a big room. And I got all 3 financed, and then the other carrier didn't get any of that. So karaoke did help me get 3 aircraft financed. So I gotta say, it has helped, music has helped a little bit in this business. You know, you never know when you can play it. So you gotta use what you got, because the other CEO was much smarter than I was, so I could sing, he couldn't.
Well, I've seen Rick sing, I've heard him sing, you go to a GoJet event and there's karaoke, go to it because the man will wow your socks off because the guy can sing. I don't know, I'm still amazed that you're a CEO and not like a Broadway star, because you know you got the skills and you got the talent, that's for sure. So, and I think the other part of that is getting outside of your comfort zone. I have never ever done karaoke before going to a GoJet party, and you know I'm not a comedian and I'm not a singer. Otherwise, I'd be doing that stuff for a day job. But but you get out of your comfort zone and do something that you're not comfortable with and have fun with it, because again, it does open doors. And I think part of this is a relationship. I mean, the reason you're sitting here is because we always come to GoJet events like, hey Rick, usually they're like, oh God, here comes Dennis again, we gotta hold our head down. But it's important to get outside your comfort zone and be part of something, whether it's music, and I think that's the other wonderful thing that all of you sitting in this room have, being part of Western Michigan University, is the student organizations, whether it's aviation organizations, whether it's outside organizations that are outside of aviation, but just get involved in other things beyond just flying airplanes and fixing airplanes and managing airplanes. So with that, we're just about out of time. It's been a very, very fast hour, but looking back, what are you most proud of with your career?
I guess I'm proud that I'm still here. A lot of folks aren't, and so we are. I'm proud that I was able to work with an amazing team to create the first airline and leadership group of an airline to create a product that is now being used. We brought this to market, that just doesn't happen. So we're very proud of that. But I'm proud of our people. I mean, airline travel can become such a commodity. Because everybody, if they can fly from point A to point B, they can do it. You know, they're a 121 carrier. They have the regulatory, the safety standards they have to employ. But our people go that extra mile, and I have pitched me moments to have started and led this group for this 20 years, to have been part of this organization that I'm part of for the last going on 38 years now. Whether we're a little teeny turboprop operator to some of the things we've been able to do. So I'm very, very proud of that journey, but I'm really proud of the people that have allowed me to have the crazy outside the box ideas. And they didn't call me crazy. They tried to embrace those ideas. We didn't do them all, but they allowed me and us together to bring a lot of them to fruition. That allowed us to still remain and be relevant today. So it does take, to coin another phrase, it does take a village, right? It's everybody working together. And I'm just so proud of our people. I'm proud that I have a management team that has been with me for 25, 30, 35 years. A lot of our leadership and department heads and directors and so forth have been with us right out of high school or college, and they've been with us for 30, 35 years. We've watched each other's kids grow up and families expand. We truly are a tight-knit group, and I know any airline CEO would say, oh, you know, we're all like a family. We really are. I mean, our people have been with us a long time, and they're sought after to go a lot of places, and they've stayed here because we were motivated by the things that we're able to achieve. And so I'm proud that when I throw this challenge the way of our people, they embrace it. We don't know yet what we can't do. We continue to strive to overcome challenges or obstacles. and we do it together. We don't hire a team of consultants. We learn it organically ourselves and overcome them together. And so I'm just proud of what I've been able to be a part of with this amazing team, many of which I've worked with for 38 years, and that's not normal in this business to have that kind of. So I'm proud of our tenure and our staying power in the industry that we're still relevant.
And I think that's a testament to, you know, and you mentioned earlier about getting involved and getting to know, you know, 3-4 airlines, because you want to know what that culture is, and that, a testament to what you are all doing at GoJet is the fact that when you have a team that's still with you after all these years, that says that they're probably doing something right. So, like I said, well, awesome. Well, I think we didn't get to everybody's questions, but we were able to incorporate a lot of the questions that were asked into the questions that we had. But Rick, thank you so much for joining us today and being a part of this. And as we kick off the journey for these, you know, 350 plus brand new students to Western, I think the future looks incredibly bright for them. So thank you all very much for coming and being a part of this.